when it came to me third time, then I realized that, why I am denying this, because I'm not a like any superstar that I should be denying what is coming to me. Then I accepted it, and then I started going to, and it was for 7 months. The original contract was 7 months, so I started going to Jahangirpuri, which is from JNU, which is about 35 kilometers away. So I used to go to Jahangirpuri every day, almost every day, like on alternate days or whatever. But the idea was to organize women and help them in opening their bank accounts as a self-help group. And in 2 months' time, it took 2 months to open one bank account for these women, because you know the bankers did not see them as a prospective candidate, prospective like customer. So it took quite a while, and it was very frustrating for me, because as a youngster, when you see something wrong happening in the system, it boils up your blood. So that happened with me, and then I saw a lot of atrocities around them when they used to go to vend in Chandni Chowk area. Like the police and the municipal authorities, they used to harass them, and that is when I realized that their life is very troublesome, and I should be doing something. And I really enjoyed working with them, and then I decided to give up. Like stopped giving I stopped giving civil services exams, and I continued with Seva, and I continued with Seva for about 17 years. So it was a 7 months contract, but I continued there for 17 years, and it was a long association. So what happened that in between, I finished my PhD when I was with Seva. I did a PhD on, my thesis was on microfinance, impact of microfinance on women workers, and taking comparison of Seva Bank in India and BRAC in Bangladesh. So after doing that, like, and working with Seva for so many years, in around 2012-13, I realized that I want to study more. And by then I had given few recommendations to youngsters who used to come, who used to work with our organization, and they got admitted in many places, international institutions. So I thought that, I have been giving recommendations and people are going abroad to study, so maybe I should also try. So I decided to apply, and I only applied at Harvard. I did not apply anywhere else. I found out a program which was master's program, which was very like interesting, and then I decided to apply. I applied, and I got full scholarship. So, and because I did not have money, to be honest, to spend on my education, and I had two kids by then, so I had to spend on them as well. But I decided that, and I thought that it will be good that all of us go together to Cambridge and stay there. They also went to school, so it was a great like time. And yeah, that is how it happened, from grassroots to, I think my work with grassroots helped me a lot in getting uh, like motivated for studying further, to know the world better, to gain more knowledge. And since I was working at the grassroots level and working at a very practical level, I was probably I probably had hunger for acquiring or acquiring more knowledge, or knowing the world better. So that took me there. And before that, I had an opportunity to uh, do a PG diploma course from uh, ISS Netherlands, and that worked as an appetizer, I would say, because that exposed me to the Western education system. And I really enjoyed that, because there was huge difference between what I was getting, or what I got at JNU or at DU, and what I got at ISS. So that was a big exposure for me. So after that, I had in my mind that someday, if I get opportunity, and even then, Harvard was not on radar, but I had this in my mind that whenever I get an opportunity, I'll try to, like, go abroad and study further, and that happened. So it was a strong desire at some point, and it happened.
That is such an inspiring story, sir. So, what was your turning point, or what was your first win that made you confident that you were doing the right thing or going in the right direction?
So that, I think, that was when I joined Seva. Like, I at times I used to think that, like, after 2 years or so, that a lot of my friends or a lot of my contemporaries from DU and JNU, they were getting into civil services, and they were becoming officers, collectors, revenue services, revenues. They were going to different services, and once you become a government officer, it definitely uh, turns around your life. It changes your life overnight. And if you choose to take such path which I did choose, it takes a while to settle down. And so that is what happened with me. And at many times I used to think that, I did choose a path which was full of struggle, and full of struggle, nothing else, because it was struggle for me, it was a struggle for women with whom I was working, so every day was a struggle, new struggle. So, but you know, uh, uh, at some point, I realized at early, like when I joined Seva after some few years, I realized that this struggle, gives a lot of happiness as well, and that happiness was the I think. I would say the perks of the work which I was doing, because not many people get opportunity to do well, to serve the society. It's very hard. It's like you are serving the humanity, you are serving the God. Because I'll tell you that during COVID and both phases, I did not go out, and I did not do much. I did not uh, get opportunity to help people, because I was not directly involved with any organization. We did continue our work with justice, helping students. But I felt so good about government officials, or those, and doctors and everyone who could help people, because, and I felt that, they had this privilege where they could serve the society at time of crisis. So yeah, so for me, I think that was the perk. And now at times I miss that a lot. But with justice, we are trying to gain the same momentum, and it is also a very noble work which we are doing. So I think very early I started thinking that everything is in the right direction, because as long as you are not defying the law, as long as you are law abiding citizen, and you are contributing to the country in some way, in a better way, I think then you are in the right direction. If you are not a corrupt person, if you are not a if you can like talk to people by like, if you can talk to people in eye to eye, if I can look into your eyes and talk to you confidently, it means that I am doing well in terms of, I my path is correct. So that is what I used to feel. Yeah, so I think that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So, do you remember a specific experience where you wish you had done something differently? And if you were to do it over again, what would you change about that?
So any work related experience?
So anything which
Okay, two experience I will give. One experience as a student, because I think some of you are student, and that I will share. I think, I don't know how many of you are going to school, and how many of you are going to college, attending college. But I think the student years are very important years, and that is when the foundation is laid, as you know, in your personality. Otherwise, if you don't lay your foundation very well, then you need to catch up, a lot, and it wastes your time. And when I say laying foundation, does not mean that only to become a good student, like a very competitive student, because I was not at all competitive in my class. I went to a government school, and in Katihar, and the government school was pretty bad, and now it's worse, and or like, you can't even imagine what kind of school it is. But and I was not a topper. I was a mediocre student. And what I when I look back, the most important thing for any student is to have a very, very strong personality. If you are participating in sports, if you are participating in, like, community work, if you are participating in, like, extracurricular activities, and if you if you stay humble, these are the traits, I think, which you can gain through your ecosystem, not only in school. And most importantly, I think, the life skills. So I remember that I did not gain, like, education wise, a much education wise much at my school. But I think the kind of life skills which I gained in my hometown and at my school with my friends, that is so valuable, and that always remains with you. So, like, that is very important. These things are very important, because, like, when you progress ahead in your life, I know that your degree or your mark sheet will matter, but more than your mark sheet, your own personality, the kind of personality you develop, would always remain with you. So I think, as a youngster, as an adolescent boy, I I spoiled a lot of my time, so, and I never realized that time is so valuable, so at this point of time, I understand. So I had to do a lot of catch up, when I started working with Seva, or when I came before Seva also, when I came to Delhi. So that is one thing which I think that, I could have uh, used my time in better things that I did not do. So that is one thing which I would like to change, probably. The second, I think, was when I wanted to give back to my hometown, and we had to do a project on solid waste management. I think that is when I realized that people in smaller places, smaller towns, and many places, not only smaller towns, but people are, illiteracy is one thing, but people are literate. They are not well educated. They don't understand the value of creating a good society, and how one thing will affect the other things. So, for example, solid waste management, when we were doing, the idea was to, like, form group of waste collectors and promote their cooperative, so that they could run the show. But the local politicians, and they were so pretty, and there were so many secretarian, like, interests in the town, that really boiled down my like aspiration, and also I could not do the way it would have been done. Like I could not do much because the people's mind was not opened, and that was the bottleneck. And I think that was one reason why I started at Justice, because that is when I realized that people need to be taught, people need to open up their mind, people need to have good education. And that is the foundation. That is, if we don't have that properly, then we cannot do much. We blame our governments very easily. It's very easy to blame the government, but the kind of work we should be doing as citizens, we also don't do. So like those kind of things I would like to change, but I don't know how much or what. But these were two incidents in my life, in my course of life, that I think that really made me think, made me realize at later stage that these two incidents, or there are many incidents, but these two incidents specifically are very close to my heart, where I find that uh, time and knowledge or openness are so much important, valuable things for our society.
Thank you so much for that, sir. So, since most of the people in this meeting are school-going students, so what opportunities should we take advantage of? Ones which may be beneficial for us when we apply to college?
I think the most important thing is to to develop empathy, which is so important, because as a student, as a privileged student, or someone, if you belong to a family which is well guarded, and you don't see that much like gaps in your family in terms of you know absence of material things. So you really don't understand what's going on in the society. And I think as a student, it is very important to understand the society and your surroundings as early as possible, because then you really understand the situation of your surroundings or your ecosystem, and accordingly you generate some empathy. And if you when you generate some empathy, then you think of doing something about it. And so for example, as you approached me, you must have gone through a process where you came across these girls, and then uh, you found you must have found, I'm just guessing, that these girls are underprivileged, and at the same time they need some support. And without some support, their life would be more vulnerable. That is what you might have thought. I am just guessing. And that is why you started Khan's foundation, and you took this initiative. You are reaching out to different people. You are trying to mobilize resources. So this is a real work which we need our country at everyone's level. So every individual, be individualistic, but to what extent? You have to draw a line where you are just not thinking about yourself, but you are also thinking about others, and developing some empathy. And anything can be important for you. Anything can you can anything you can think of which disturbs you. you know you can take up any social challenge, any social issue, and you can develop some empathy, and start doing something about it. So what I'm seeing nowadays, that a lot of students are also interested in building just their CV. So there are three things. One is building your CV, second is building your career, third is building yourself as a human. you know. So I think the third one is so important, that we are not everyone is taught in a way that we should be we should be investing our energy, time, emotion in building our character as a human being, so but we are taught in our school and in our society, which is so competitive, that you have to build your CV, you have to build your profile, you have to build your career, which is fine, which is important, because if your career is not good, if your profile is not good, not many people, had I been a very normal person, you might not have approached me. Normal person means someone who does not have a name, someone who does not have a like a good job, so it is also important, but at the same time, what kind of human being or personality or character I am building is very important. So I think that is very important for all the students who are listening now, that whatever CV, whatever personality, whatever career you want to build, don't forget that, you know first of all, you are a human being, and you have so much potential to contribute back to the society or to the country. And just imagine if every individual, whatever work you are doing, even if you are a big CEO or a small shopkeeper, you can contribute back to the society in a very, very meaningful way. It's just that you have to be empathetic of of the situation of others, and then look around. You can find a lot of problems around yourself, and you can try to solve or address some of these issues. So that is very important, I think.
That
I don't
is
know if
so
it
true.
makes sense, but yeah,
I
that is what.
completely agree with you. This is uh, trying to make a change even at a very small level is extremely important, because until and unless we start something, we can't be expecting change around us to happen.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
So, sir, you were awarded with a full scholarship at Harvard, which is a very, very big deal. So, can you share a little about that? And what is the financial aid process like? So, is it more loan based or grant based?
Yeah, so the scholarship which I received was grant based, and it was like full scholarship. And yeah, I was very fortunate that way, because as I mentioned earlier, I did not have money to pay for my tuition or stay, and it's very expensive. US education is extremely expensive, but at the same time, the good thing about these universities is that they also do provide scholarships to needy people, and in some cases they are also need blind. So it depends on, like what kind of application you are making. Your application has to be very strong. And when I say application, it means like the essays, and also you know uh, the recommendations. So essays and recommendations are very important. And yeah, and then like then you apply for a scholarship, then you state that you don't have money. So in some cases, what people do, that you when they ask you that how much you can spend, you don't say zero, but at the same time you don't say full. So they understand that you will partly cover. And then people think that they, and it's true also, that they would think that even if we are not paying them 100%, if the candidate is good, so they go by candidate. If the candidate is good, they'd really like to support the students, in whatever way they can. In few cases, they give full scholarships also. In undergrad, of course, the scholarship is like not many, but in graduate schools, uh, the scholarships are like available in more numbers. But in undergrad, it's like it's very expensive. But at the same time, if your as I said, application is strong. And how do you build your application? As I said that, you know do do well in academics. That is important, of course. If you really want to, it's a, ultimately it's you are going in, you want to go into academics. If you are applying for undergrad abroad, so you are going into academic institution, academic university, so you need to have a good marks. So that is of course one thing. But then how do you build your profile, CV? And as I said, that how do you do something very interesting and unique, which really, make them think that this candidate has been doing wonderful work in the society or has taken leadership. So those things really matter. But again, I would say that don't do it for the sake of doing it, for building your CV. If you are not involved properly, they might uh, catch you during the interview. So that is very important. That, you know if I, for example, if I am taking interview and Devyani is the applicant, and then I will ask Devyani all the questions around her work, and if I find her knowledge very shallow in terms of whatever vocational training she has been imparting, then I would say no. Because Devyani, you are like, I'm just giving example, Devyani, don't feel bad about it. So you have to be truthful in terms of whatever you are presenting, because they like truthfulness. So, and that is where, they also accept you if you have been a failure in your life. Because they awarded PhD degrees to, like, Harvard awarded PhD degrees to Mark Zuckerberg, and also, Bill Gates, even after they were dropped out. So, so they don't they look at your honesty a lot, and truthfulness, and your personality, because it's all part of your personality. And if you are trying to cheat them, and if they catch you, if you don't catch their attention, then it's fine. But in most of the cases, they will catch you. So they trust you, they believe you. So when I was going to Boston, and at Boston airport, someone asked me, what's there in your bag? So I told them books or something. So they believe you. They are not going to open and see if you are carrying pickles or anything else. So at first impression, they trust you. And but if there is any suspicion, and if you are found, if they find that you are playing something foul, then they punish you. So try to build your CV, your personality, your profile in a way that it is pure, and it is like, yeah, it is transparent and pure. So it matters a lot. And I think in my application and everything, it was all very pure, and it was all very honest. I did not have to lie for anything. And that was one thing. And I had done some solid work on the ground for about 15 years when I applied. So that was a big deal, I think, uh, for an application. Yeah. And Devyani, I am also happy to answer, if others have any question, if we have time, right?
Sure, sir. We'll be opening
Okay, sure, sure.
questions at the end. So, from your understanding, what roles should the students looking to admit themselves into such prestigious universities do to build their CVs or profiles? And does extracurricular strike the chord, or is work experience the answer to that?
I think it's a combination of both. In terms of Canada and UK, they look for, I think, strong academic records. And in the US, they look for academic records, but they do give a lot of preference to students who have, like, shown interest, or have like taking part or have been participating in extracurricular activities. So it is like and I think information is available from all over the world nowadays. And I think it is also it also depends on individuals interest, that what kind of university you want to choose. For example, in India, it's all about, like, Harvard is the best destination. But if you ask people in the US, it's not the best destination. They choose institution uh, depending upon which one is good for, say, uh, like uh, like physics, for example, or for computer engineering, or whatever students want to study. So it's not that Harvard is best for everything, or MIT is best for everything. So like, there are institutions all over the US, so they prefer depending upon the ranking of that particular department. Because in many cases I have seen that, like, I have spoken to a lot of people. So while choosing uh, colleges, you should not be disheartened depending you did not get Harvard or number 1, number 2, or number 3. All the colleges, many colleges are very good actually in the US and in Canada, and much better than what the kind of education students get here, I would say, because of few reasons. One is, like uh, one is that international experience. It itself gives a lot of confidence and a lot of exposure to students. So suppose if you are going to Harvard, and students from over 100 countries, they are your classmates or your batchmates, contemporaries. So you get to know so many cultures, and you get to know people from all over the world. So that is the beauty, that is the, I think that is the unique uh, unique I think situation which India does not offer. So number one. Number two is that the kind of faculties, so I would not say that faculties in India are not good, but like many uh, if you compare overall, then the faculties, the quality of faculties and the professionalism in faculties is extremely high. They're very professional. 4 o'clock means 4 o'clock. If they have to start, I never missed a class, or my faculties, I did not see anyone missing the class. If they are going to miss the class, then they will tell you in advance the circumstances due to which he or she is going to miss the class, and when he will compensate. But in India, if a teacher misses the class, then it's fine. It's not a big deal. So professionalism is extremely high. Second. So third is, like, I would say, students, the quality of students. When they are spending a lot of money, when they are going to these institutions, they are also very serious. They want to get maximum out of it, you know. So they are also very serious. So, I think, and then the curriculum is also like very contemporary, and and then the kind of internships opportunity you get, international exposure, working with international institutions, organizations, so these things make very different, and I think, I don't know, I don't remember what was your question, but I think these are the things which I wanted to communicate somehow.
So we have a question in the chat box.
Yeah.
So would you say that the school is more collaborative or competitive?
Which school?
Harvard.
So I think more collaborative. Competition is basically, it is the outcome of individual's mind. you know I feel comp I am in competition with you, she is in competition with someone else, That is a very individual thinking, and there is a system also where, like, you need to be competitive, like for example CBSE board, and things like that. In India, it's very competitive. But in Harvard schools and college, what I have seen, that the curriculum is designed in a way that they give you a lot of opportunities, or they push you to do work in collaboration with your team members. And yeah, so it's more collaborative than competitive, I would say, because you are, every individual there in the Western world itself, the system is designed in a way that ultimately you do compete for jobs. But while at in university, they let every individual grow, so it's more collaborative, I would say.
So, sir, is there any experience that you gained at Harvard that left a mark on you and you would like to share with the audience here?
Yeah, I think one thing which was very noticeable, and was that, the faculties and the whole system allow you to ask questions, any difficult questions that we don't find in India. So that is something very interesting. I learned there very well that, you know ask questions in the classroom, ask your faculties. They don't get bogged down. They let you ask, they let you participate in discussion. In all the classrooms, there is marking over class participation, you know and yeah, so those things, that particular angle, I think that was very unique. And yeah.
So, sir, when we speak about CVs,
And also,
is it
one more thing I would like to add here, that one other thing is that your outlook, they change your outlook, also the way you think. And I think when you go early, I went there, you know quite late, but when you go early, you get to learn that you really think, you start thinking big, and in a global perspective, you develop that perspective. Yeah.
so, sir, when we speak about CVs, according to you, is it better to position yourself as a generalist or as a jack of many trades or as a specialist?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. So I think they for your academic records, they want to see you more specific, because you are seeking admission in a particular field. But as for your personality, they really want to see, in what areas, and on what occasions you have taken leadership. So in that respect, they want to see you as a generalist. But in terms of, I think, academic records and academic, they want to see you more specific, because they are evaluating your scores, grades, and things like that.
Okay, sir. So I think we can, anyone who wants to ask a question can either drop it in the chat box or feel free to unmute yourselves and ask a question to sir.
No question.
Okay, so if no one has any question, I think we can conclude this workshop now. So our
Sure.
biggest thank you to Mr. Sanjay Kumar for gracing us with your presence. We are sure the attendees had a very informative session. We are very grateful for your support for our cause, and we hope you enjoyed working with Ekansh as much as we enjoyed working with you. A big thank you to all attendees. Every contribution brings us closer to our goal. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, Devyani. Thanks for having me. Thank you. All the best to everyone, and to you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.